Thing that makes Kaiju number 8 so scary isn't the fact that it's a show about giant fish-eating monsters, and that a kaiju forced its way down someone's throat. It's not even the fact that Kaiju number 8 can regenerate himself from nothing but the core alone. No. The thing that makes Kaiju number 8 so scary is how it made top charting anime appear when it's literally still the new kid on the block.
And the Oscar goes to
Okay, so this anime was released on April 13th, 2024, with the first episode running for about 22 minutes, and it actually scored a critic score that was above 82%. That's actually impressive for a new anime to achieve such high ratings early on in the beginning. I mean, looking at the manga production sales for Kaiju number 8, we can see that it reached 90,000 copies that were sold in the first week of publication. So it went as far as receiving multiple awards, but notably the Eisner Award, which, according to sources, is the most prestigious award in the comic industry. And Kaiju number 8, a new anime people, received this award. So this is the first ever Shonen Jump series to achieve such a feat in 2021, which already, like I said, was surpassing Demon Slayer, which was the top manga at the time. So let's see what makes this anime so impressive. As you can guess, having the name Kaiju, we can expect that there are some giant monsters because Kaiju in English means monster, right? So we can expect there are some giant monsters like in Pacific Rim and in Godzilla. So, as if having the name Kaiju wasn't enough, though, the anime starts off with its first monster being a baby looking Godzilla. Like, so the creators sat there and thought, hey, let's start off the anime about Kaiju, or Kaiju monsters, and have the very first Kaiju be a baby looking Godzilla. Because Godzilla sells tickets, doesn't it? And that was really good market research that they did there. So the next thing we see is the Defense Forces Third Division that's dedicated to fighting kaiju monsters appearing to save the day. And they call it the Third Division because, well, your guess is as good as mine. There's probably multiple divisions. I was actually curious as to whether or not they had copied some of Attack on Titan's movements when I saw this scene right here. But after reading the manga and seeing that in the year 1657, the way they had fought kaiju, it does actually make sense to say they had to progress to use a more productive method of fighting kaiju. So you can't say that, hey, they are copying Attack on Titan's movements and whatnot, because yeah, these are some giant monsters. And if we were to actually look at the manga, of which I'm going to actually show you guys that the fighting techniques that they've actually adopted have changed from what they used in 1657 to modern day now. So the captain takes down the kaiju with one well-placed shot into his chest, which causes it to explode and sets the pace for us to be introduced to the cleanup division. So yeah, the main protagonists of the show are Hibino Kafka and the third division captain Ashiro Mina, who just happens to be Kafka's childhood best friend. Like, one ended up being a super cool hero that can blast giant monsters with a huge cannon weapon, and the other turned into a janitor. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds just about right. Anyways, so we then see Kafka trying to save his junior from a kaiju that emerged from the ground and nearly took his head off. Like, it literally just appeared from the ground and wanted to take this guy's head off. How it was underground, I don't know. But as you can expect, they tried their best to fight off the kaiju, but without any battle suits, their attempts were futile. And when all hope seemed lost, guess who shows up to save them? None other than 3rd Division's Captain Mina Ashiro and her trusty white tiger. So Kafka and his junior get sent to the hospital due to shock and injuries, and it's there that things get kind of creepy. And I don't mean creepy in the cool way. I mean creepy like this flying fly worm parasite looking kaiju thing forces its way down Kafka's throat. Like literally it's like found you and inside his throat, like inside immediately. And all this is happening, right? Mind you, all this is happening. Ishikawa is right beside his senpai in another bed, and the only thing between them is like a cloth or a screen curtain between them, right? And finally, the commotion comes to an end, and Ichikawa realizes something's happening, right? So Kafka literally just went full kaiju. How that happened, we do not know, right? He went full humanoid kaiju, but things quickly go south when one of the elderly old people in the hospital sees the kaiju, and while trembling, note, while he's trembling, the old man calls the defense force to come and save the day. Because who are you going to call when things get too hard and when giant monsters start appearing in your hospitals, ladies and gentlemen? That's right, you call it the defense force. So Kafka and Ichikawa flee from the scene, right? And Kafka is like some overpowered monster right now. And while running away, Kafka senses the exact same kaiju that attacked him and Ichikawa not so long back. He senses it and arrives just in time to save a little girl that was trying to get her mum that was stuck underneath some rubble, right? But as he arrives there, Kafka decides to fight to save the girl and her injured mother by doing an ultra serious punch. Now I have to admit, I did find this a bit fishy. Like, okay, I had this thought now initially to say, okay, is this Attack on Titan style motion? And then now I'm seeing an ultra serious punch. I'm like, is this One Punch Man? I mean, really? Is it? But anyway, he then blows up the entire kaiju's body with to the point that Ichikawa had to say that he should totally not do that to a human being. I mean, okay, I'm pretty sure in Kafka's head he was saying, oh man, I am so strong right now. So the next thing that I'm probably going to do is if I ever get involved in a bar fight, I'm going to sucker punch the guy that gets involved in a bar fight with me. Like, dude, whoa. Finally, Captain Ashiro arrives at the scene, right? Because they were called and they took their sweet time, because they are the heroes. So Captain Ashiro arrives at the scene and asks the little girl what happened before promising to wipe out all the kaiju. And it's here that we see the little girl asking Ashiro not to harm the good kaiju, folks, because this kaiju saved the little girl's mom. Kafka gets his exam results with Ichikawa, right? He gets his exam results with Ichikawa, and it turns out that they passed the entrance exam. So now the hardest part is about to begin, because that wasn't actually the part where Kafka always fails, right? See, Kafka would always fail on the physical part of the exam, right? The aptitude test, that's where he would fail. But so this time he steals himself because he feels that he can do this. Right? He's gotten the resolve. He's now feeling confident in himself. So Ichikawa and Kafka make their way to the Japan Defense Force training base to take their final exams, and it's there that they realize there are a lot of really talented people and strong people out there. But that doesn't deter them, even when Kafka comes number 219 out of 225 in the physical exam. Yeah, at least he didn't cheat, folks. He didn't cheat. So, having been outshone by Kikiro Shinomiya, who is the daughter of the Japan Defense Forces general, who is also known as the strongest man, right? She beat Kafka. So they head on out to the final exam, but before they can participate in the final exam, they have to put on the Defense Force combat suits that boost their powers and make the wearer have much more strength, enhanced strength, and almost on par with the kaiju, right? So it unleashes your internal combat strength. But lo and behold, Kafka scores a 0% unleashed combat score, making him the first ever candidate to receive an unleashed power score of 0%. I mean, I seriously thought when I was watching this section to say, he's got a kaiju inside him. He's super overpowered. Obviously, his unleashed combat power is going to be off the roof. No, the creators had something else in mind. We're going to give this guy 0% unleashed combat power because he's already got a kaiju inside him. And the other theory that I found online is to say that Kafka was born a kaiju, which, when you read the manga, it's actually a lie, right? But I'll get into this. I'll get into why in a bit. Right, so as I was saying, Kafka finds out that he has 0% combat power, right, making him the first ever candidate to score such a score. So I don't really know, but it could be a theory as to why the kaiju went for him in the first place. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. But despite not having any high unleashed combat power potential, Kafka quickly utilizes his knowledge of kaiju and recognizes how to defeat the Yoju that they are tasked with defeating in the exam, right? This is all before he gets face palmed in the face by one of the Yoju and gets injuries yet again. But before getting expelled, because terms and conditions were if your shield gets activated, you get kicked out of the exam, that means you fail. Before reaching this section where he was about to fail, Kikoro Shinomiya comes in and saves him, telling him to say that that's the second time she's now shown in morph, and when she's on the field, none of her members will be left behind. Kikoro Shinomiya has saved everyone. She's now going for the big bad kaiju, which is known as a Honju class kaiju. So there's there's Yoju class kaiju, which if I was to put them in relative scale, I'd say a Yoju class kaiju would be the size of a bus, right? And then a Honju class kaiju would be probably the size of a plane, right? And then a Dai kaiju could be the size of a person, but the unleashed power within is greater. So a bus has higher potential to cause damage, but a plane has much higher potential to cause damage than a bus has, right? And then now we also understand to say that a person has greater potential to cause more damage than a bus and a plane. So Hikaru comes and introduced to another humanoid kaiju. So that's right, folks. Kaiju that it's resurrecting comes back and comes with a greater fortitude. That's double the previous fortitude level. That doesn't stop Kikuru from off. So when that unicorn is on, its power levels are like at a higher state. So basically, that have managed to make it into the JDF. Although Kafka was not selected as an officer of the JDF, he managed to get recruited as a cadet by Vice Captain Soshiro Hoshin. Right. So he's a cadet. That means that he'll still work with the other officers, but he's not a ranking officer at the moment. He's not an officer. He's not fully fledged. You could think of it like he's on probation. If it doesn't work out for him, he gets kicked out. If it works out for him, he gets given full position, right? Maybe he's an intern, you could say that, maybe, I don't know. So now we see the recruits doing some training, right? They're doing a training montage and getting used to each other in the place, but this peaceful scene is quickly interrupted by the arrival of a Honju class kaiju that looks like a giant mushroom monster. Is extremely powerful as her unleashed combat potential is insanely high. Ichikawa and Iharu search the area for any Yoju to neutralize, and that's when this whatever's body's battle gets interesting. Of course, we get to see Ichikawa unleashing a vast amount of power from his suit that the humanoid kaiju felt it had to create a shield from corpses. So the fight goes on, but as fate would have it, the new recruits weren't a match for the humanoid kaiju, and that's when Kafka arrives in his kaiju form to save his squad members. The fight seemed to be in the favor of the humanoid kaiju, right? But it seems kaiju number 8 has more power than we could have thought. I mean, I've already been saying it, kaiju number 8 is overpowered and powerful, right? He deflected the humanoid kaiju's shots just by emitting an aura and screaming. He didn't wave his hands, nothing. He literally just stood there, radiated an aura and just screamed and deflected all the shots. If that's not cool, I don't know what is. Right, so the fight goes on, and just when kaiju number 8 is about to win, there comes some human disturbances. And with that, the humanoid kaiju, they call him kaiju number 9. Kaiju number 9 escapes, and that's not all, because just when you think the roller coaster ride is coming to an end, kaiju number 8 finds Vice Captain Hoshina blocking his path to escaping. And so now we've seen kaiju number 8 go against a strong kaiju. Now he has to face a completely different class of monster, because Vice Captain Hoshina is the only captain in the JDF that specializes in close range attacks with dual blades. Right? He literally deals with taking down mid-sized kaiju. So kaiju number 8 would be. So am I the only one that gets a sense of Gin? Gin from Bleach, the character from the anime Bleach, when we see Captain Hoshina's facial expression. Like, if you don't remember Gin, I'm going to put a picture up here. I'm just going to show you. Am I the only one that's getting a sense of that? I mean, dye his hair pink and maybe make him a tad bit taller, and that's definitely Captain Gin from Bleach. So they face off, and we get to see that behind that relaxed grin is a monster that can make light work with any mid-sized kaiju. Unlike Ashiro, Vice Captain Hoshina is a close-range fighter that deals incredible damage at an incredible speed level. Right. The fight finally ends as kaiju number 8 manages to escape with some minor injuries, and we see a disappointed Vice Captain Hoshina stating that he lost his mark. I mean, I get that there's levels of depression, but this But he looks like someone just told him that he can't go trick-or-treating because his costume isn't cool enough. It's just a kaiju, man. You'll get it next time. I'm pretty sure you fight kaijus every single day. It's just one kaiju that you missed, you know? So the JDF recruits return back to base for debriefing and are there treated to a little party since no one was lost in battle, which is actually a big deal in this line of work to find your squad members are still well after battle. I mean, it makes sense. You're going to fight giant monsters. Some people can get squashed. Some people can get flicked. Some people can get burnt. You get the gist, right? So Kafka gets promoted to full-time officer, and just as he had made up his mind once more to work harder so he can be by Captain Ashiro's side, he then stumbles upon Vice Captain Hoshina doing some intense mental image training, in which he's recreating the fight against Kaiju number 8. But eventually the Vice Captain realizes that Kafka is standing behind him, and so Kafka tells the Vice Captain that he will do everything in his power to be of more assistance next time, right? I mean, the old dude saved everyone. What more could he have done at the moment, right? Hoshina accepts the statement, but tells Kafka that he can only have 1% of his expectations since he can only utilize 1% of his combat suit. But that doesn't deter Kafka, and he accepts the vice captain's recognition. As if fated, now that the division may assist them. And this is also the first time in which we've seen Yoju class kaiju actually working as a team. Right? They normally don't work as a team. They are not team oriented. These monsters are, single-minded. They don't have that whole, you take section A, I'm going to take section B. If we need to cover each other, then we're going to cover each other at the base point. They don't have that Call of Duty mentality. This definitely makes things a bit trickier for the third division because they have to try and win a battle against kaiju that attacked their base, but the kaiju are working together to cover their weaknesses. However, Shinomiya has other plans. Right? She had other plans and was not working. She arrives literally in a nick of time too, and now the tide of the battle shifts to the side of the humans as the captain completely destroys Kaiju number 10 with the help of the vice captain and Shinomiya. Right, so they go all out and they're attacking its weaknesses. It has strong armor. Okay, that doesn't matter. Shinomiya is going to come with a broad axe. She's going to chop on it. It's too huge. That doesn't matter. The captain's going to blow it up with a cannon, right? So just as the humans are celebrating the fact that they've just destroyed Kaiju number 10, the Kaiju leaves them with one parting present, which is a giant Kaiju bomb. So all those Wyvern dragon-style Kaiju apparently were all going into one spot, like forming a giant Kaiju bomb, right? That had the capacity that was equal to a nuclear bomb if it had actually detonated. And all hope seemed to be lost at this moment. But things quickly go unexpectedly as we see Kafka running past all his commanding officers and squad members at high speed, right? At a high speed while transforming his body into that of a kaiju in order to save his members. And could there have been no other way for him to do this without revealing his big secret? I think they could have, but creators of the anime probably wanted to reveal to say Kafka's abilities are such at this point, right? Kafka gets ready to make the biggest jump of his life and sends out most of his strength all the way to his legs and gets these thruster-like thingies that appear on his calves to push him up. And with his jump, while all this is happening, Vice Captain Hoshina starts connecting all the dots and realizes that he was blind to Kafka the entire time. Like he says, he knew something was odd, right? But why did I find myself not paying more attention to it? I just found myself liking him more and more. Jumps up, right? He jumps up and he punches the kaiju, dragon kaiju bomb, punches it and it goes and it explodes fire. So when this is all done, he lands down and he saves everyone from the shockwave. But instead of being thanked and praised, he gets taken into custody because he's the notorious Kaiju number 8. So we see Kafka getting sent off to the JDF main headquarters where he will meet Isao Shinomiya, who is Kikuro's dad and also known as the strongest man and the general director of the JDF. But it seems that the third division doesn't hate Kafka or think of him as an enemy since they found out his secret. In fact, they're grateful to him for his help and want to assist him with getting released. So now Kafka has to do his part and prove that he's human to the man that will literally be his judge and executioner. Interrogation begins with General Shinomiya requesting that Kafka be released from his shackles, saying that if he really wanted to escape, he could have broken his shackles without breaking a sweat and was in fact remaining in them because he chose to do so. That's smart. You don't get to be at the top of the food chain without actually being smart, it seems. Right. So don't get me wrong. It feels kind of like a good start, right? Like he tells him, let him go. If he wanted to be out of here, he could be out of here if he wants. Like there's nothing you guys could do to keep him shackled there. So just let him go. But let's take a look at what happens next. So the director general actually wants Kafka to be set free and doesn't think shackling him is worth it. But the moment he releases him, right? So when the logic is literally to release Kafka, and as Kafka is blabbing saying, I'm human, blah blah blah, shoot first and then ask questions later, you know. So the interrogation goes on with Kafka trying not to fight Kikuro's father and to escape from getting eradicated by the process of, Kikuro's father is wearing Kaiju number two's weapons, right? So wearing those weapons and he's trying to destroy Kafka, prove to say Kafka is a monster. So Kaiju number 8, being Kafka, is trying to stay alive and prove to say no, that he is alive. General is about to place the final killing blow. We see Kafka transforming into Kaiju number 8. But wait, something seems off, right? This time something is different because this is the first time that we see his skull, like the face skull thingy on his face. It cracked, which makes the general immediately back off, sensing that the battle is about to become entirely different. Right, like everyone noticed to say something was about to be entirely different. So the fight continues, and Shinomiya acknowledges that Kafka's strength has increased. However, he thinks that Kafka is fighting just like an animal and is unaware of the openings that he leaves after it attacks, right? But that's not the case because Kaiju number 8, even though fighting recklessly right now, is not fighting as Kafka, however, as the Kaiju within him, because that Kaiju is only fighting right now to kill because it sensed another Kaiju out there that wants to harm it. This Kaiju within Kafka wants to destroy other Kaiju. How that is, I do not know. But basically, it's going full force to destroy the Kaiju number 2 within the weapon that Director General Shiname is wearing. The general punches Kafka in the chest, square on to where his core is, but without actually managing to kill him because the core was not in the body, right? Literally, Kaiju number 8 took his core out of his body, he stayed with his heart, folks. He stayed with his heart and regenerated his body from his heart. If that does not make you stop and be like, whoa, what? Okay, then I don't know what else will. So the fight goes on, and just when Kafka is losing control and about to end it for the Director General, he manages to snap out of the rage thing that Kaiji number 8 is in and, punches himself through the chest, through the heart, and puts himself down and says, I am Kafka, I am not Kaiju number 8, I'm a human. And we see that's where it ends. He's taken into custody, he's taken to the hospital, and the Director General decides to say that Kafka will be used as a living human weapon for the JDF. That means that Kafka will not be destroyed. Rather, Kafka will be kept alive for it. So I feel like we could use the word iconic right now because as someone that has watched thousands of hours worth of anime, I do think this anime is already iconic, right? That does, however, come with a lot of baggage because it's like joining the rare legendary anime like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Kaiju number 8, you know? Yeah. So, but one thing about these iconic anime is that they're almost always rare, right? And that's the thing. Like if you see One Piece, there's not going to be another One Piece. They can be multiple thousands or hundreds of animes that have pirates and whatnot and try to create a storyline slightly similar to One Piece, but they will not be like One Piece. They can be countless anime like Naruto, but they will not be an anime that has the same captivations like Naruto, that is exactly like Naruto. And that's what I'm trying to say here. That's exactly what Kaiju number 8 has managed to do. It managed to incorporate every aspect that makes it an ideal anime, and it amplified that aspect beyond people's expectations. So my hat's completely off for Kaiju number 8. This anime definitely, without a doubt, is iconic. And with that being said, I give Kaiju number 8 a 9.8 out of 10. Right, 9.8, ladies and gentlemen, because that is the fortitude level of Kaiju number 8. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please smash that like button because one like equals the amount of people looking forward to season 2, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video.